Welcome to the Young Crone's Cafe, where you can get a magic brew full of all sorts of information, both witchy and practical.
Grab a cup of coffee and join us. I'm Elizabeth, a wordsmith.
And I'm Dave, a modern-day sage.
We are going to talk about various witchcraft and life topics from a slightly more mature perspective, at least most of the time.
Thanks for joining us.
Here's a little something extra from the Young Crone's Cafe to get you through until our next regularly scheduled podcast. If you listen to our podcast with any regularity, you may notice a difference in my voice. This is because I am just out of the hospital from a bout of pneumonia that I'm still trying to recover from. I don't think I've been this sick in 20 years. And after thinking it was COVID, getting tested, discovering it wasn't, thinking it has to be flu, and being flat on my back several days at home, I video conferenced the doctor who said, go to urgent care and get your lungs checked out. And when I did, I was transported immediately by ambulance to the hospital because my oxygen levels were so low. And after a week of non-rest in the hospital, I am now home with oxygen tanks, inhalers, nebulizers, and more medication than I like to think about. I don't think I've been this sick in 20 years. The last time I went down, it was with bronchitis, and it was never this bad. The biggest residual of all of this while I am recovering is I have no energy. Every time I get up and do something, I feel like I need to, and that includes like walking to the kitchen and making lunch, which may be a sandwich, requires a 2-hour nap to recover. This is from a woman who since 2016 has been running around like a lunatic behind grandchildren, getting them back and forth to school, taking care of grocery shopping, after school activities, homework, dinner, etc., 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 doing all those parental things because I have custody of them. My 22-year-old daughter has tried to step up and fill in for me while I am down like this and is exhausted. And she's been yelling like, why have you been trying to do so much? No wonder you got sick. And that's neither here nor there. One of the biggest problems I'm finding in dealing with for my own personal stuff is I have been performing a number of small daily practices over the years that remind me I am a witch and I'm magical and that magic is everywhere around me, and things that feed my internal spark of the divine throughout my day. They're just little bitty things, but don't have the energy to do 90% of them. And a number of them involve lighting candles or burning incense. Now, right now, I can't have open flames because of the oxygen. And I think if I lit incense, I would probably choke to death coughing. So that eliminates that. Now, I could adapt some of these easily, I'm sure. However, I'm sitting here sulking like a 2-year-old because I can't have the bells and whistles that I've gotten accustomed to and actually really like as part of these practices. So, in the spirit of trying to be a human and reasonably acting my own age, which is way more than 2, I've been looking at some things I could do instead, trying something new as it were. One thing I can manage is every evening now, I take the time to step out my back door, off my porch, and look up in the sky and see where the moon is, what phase it is in, how clouds are interfering, and what the weather actually feels like. Now, this takes just a couple of minutes an evening, but it's there, and it allows me connections with the world around me and a reminder that, yes, the moon is there, the universe is continuing to go on, whether or not I feel like I'm participating in ways that I want to or not. This has kind of been confirmed for me because the other night here in Rochester, New York, where I live and practice, there was a total lunar eclipse in the form of a penumbral eclipse. Now, for those who don't know, that's basically where there is more of a shadow that goes across the face of the moon rather than it actually disappearing from the night sky. And the moon turned an obliging shade of ugly orange brownish red about 5 a.m. while I was up and wandering around because my sleep has been disrupted since I got home from the hospital. Okay, enough complaining. We all need, I think, to regularly evaluate our changing energy levels, what we can manage, and how they affect our daily practices and what we're doing. Do our daily practices still fulfill us spiritually or not? If they do, then maybe we need to make the time and put aside the energy we need to do some of them. And if they don't, maybe it's time to try and find something new. It feels strange doing things differently. As humans, we tend to be creatures of habit, whether we're witches or not. And sometimes it's really hard to give up or lay aside things that we think are making us feel better or more witchy or enjoy the magic of the world. I am still a witch. I am still magical, and magic is still all around me, regardless of whether I can get up in the morning, light a candle, and set my intent for the day or not. I can still set my intent even if I don't light a candle while I am making my morning coffee and communing with that modern goddess Kafina while the Keurig drips my cup of coffee to be ready for me to drink. I can still give thanks at the end of the day that I'm still here, that I finished today, and set my intent that I'm going to rest well for the night. In fact, I should probably really be doing that one because it seems to help. In the meantime, why don't you take a look at what you do, why you're doing it, and make sure it still works for you, or try some new things just for the heck of it.
Well, it looks like the coffee cups are empty for this week. We hope you join us again next Tuesday, but you can find us at our website, 2youngcrones.com. That's the number 2, Young Crones.
We'd love to have you join our growing online Discord community. Check out our new Patreon presence. Just look for Young Crones Cafe. Through Patreon, you'll be able to make it to our Discord. We are also Young Crones Cafe on Twitter and Facebook.
Until then, remember, we are witches who work with energies to effect change.
We are believers in both immanent and transcendent divine.
We are celebrants of the passage of the solar and lunar cycles.
We are hedge walkers who pass back and forth between the worlds of the magical and the mundane.
We are seekers of knowledge.
And we are walkers of a spiritual tradition we call the path.
So mote it be.
So mote it be.